Hello everyone and welcome back to another history lesson. I can't talk, with none other than Dr. Professor Starsnipe, and today we are back in the sandbox, but in the sandbox we will be learning, not just having fun in a review game. We will continue with our thing. We still gotta beat level 10, however level 10 is the last level we have to beat, and there's a lot of stuff I gotta do. I'm a little bit short on time today, so we're just gonna mess around in sandbox and enjoy a history lesson. And today you're going to be learning about none other than Rome again. And you might be asking yourself, Star, but teacher, we already learned about Rome. Well, this is true, but that was more just like an intro. That was kind of like the first unit of the class, and we kind of just used it to get you guys interested. And now that you're interested in Roman history, specifically that of Julius Caesar, there's a lot we have to talk about, and a lot which we will talk about. Now, today we are going to see one of the more infamous formations they used, and just how great it is. So we're going to demonstrate how good it is against the potential peasant uprising. Now, the Romans had to deal with peasant uprising quite a bit because at times they did not partake in the most popular of activities. So here we have the infamous turtle box formation, the backstory of which we will begin talking about soon, charging against the peasant revolt, and we will see just how much of a mowdown this thing is capable of and how much it's able to keep the enemies at bay and also just prove huge collateral damage. And here we had a small amount of shieldmen. Like, we'll actually see what the specific numbers are after this battle, I think, but they were quite effectively able to quell this peasant revolt, and there was a substantially greater, I think we had 30, yeah, because it was a 6x6 grid, so we had 36 peasants, or 36 shieldmen up against what I believe was 60-70 peasants. So even though they're outnumbered 2 to 1 and the peasants had a giant mob, the shields are able to use their push come to shove tactics with the shield and create that huge front line you guys saw in the middle, and ultimately hunt down anyone who dares oppose his emperorness. I don't know really the correct way of saying that. This guy is coming after the booty. Oh my god, look, oh! Jesus, he came after the booty hard, but he's still being chased by his troops, and this is quite the crafty peasants, but his end might be coming here under, oh yeah, it's coming. Oh, talk about getting bashed. And this is pretty humane, because I mean, they don't die. You just knock them out with the shield, just kind of give them a small concussion. But here we had 70 peasants, twice as many units, and our shieldmen were still able to do quite well. Now, the shieldmen in this turtle/box formation also proved to be extremely effective against archers. So here what we will do is demonstrate exactly that by creating two lines, or creating a giant line of poachers. Spanning the entire thing, we'll have a giant line of poachers barraging them. Outnumbered pretty damn heavily. We're gonna see just how the shield formation does and how effectively it's able to withstand this archers. And I mean, they're outnumbered. It's almost a 2 to 1 outnumber, and there's gonna be a hail of arrows, but they will be able to survive it quite well. We've had a couple fall, mainly from the sides, but they're able to push through the center of the line, and once they hit the center, oh, they begin to expand out. However, it is a little bit unfortunate because they were just greatly outnumbered against this line of units, but they still will be able to do a good amount of damage. Now just imagine multiple of these legions charging against lines of archers, or whatever it may be. We probably have what appears to be 15 archers or so left, so I mean, it's not perfect, especially if the line is that long, but if we go back and expand our legion a little bit, make it a little bit wider instead of being this thick, we will see how using the same amount of units we're able to be much more effective. So if this last one just wants to die really quickly, unless he decides to be the next great general to grace our graces and just go absolutely ham, which I don't think he will. I mean, he's able to utilize the friendly fire. We can see his shield pelted with this stuff. It just absorbs the arrows, which is awesome. And so what we're going to do this time, however, is we're going to take our shields. We're going to get rid of, I believe, 12 of them. And then we will create this even wider, right? And as we make this wider, you'll see how this plays out. Well, actually, just make it too wide, to be honest, right? And I believe we had 36 units, so we'll just keep going until we hit that threshold. And we got a little bit to go till we do hit that threshold. But once we do, you will see where this thing really does excel. So, remember, same amount of units here, just a little bit of reorganization, and these archers will be able to do even less damage than before. So here we have them charging, and they're poachers too. We could redo this experiment with archers, and it should have a relatively similar result. As you can see, poachers, first off, are not the most accurate, but even when they are able to get their shots off, not a single shieldman has yet fallen. However, once the line is broken, they do begin to fall, and the archers are beginning to get, well, they're starting to get pooped on a little bit. The problem is when they do finally break through that formation, it's kind of unfortunate because their backs are exposed. However, here we can see that that doesn't matter. We've been able to scatter our own troops, and we are slowly taking them out one by one. And it is going to be a relatively close battle here. But the thing, and where this comes from, this totally accurate history lesson, is that this box formation, because the Romans were known, very well known for being the shipping monopoly back in their day. And unfortunately, this is not going to work as well. But you can see that we were able to do a lot better. And now, next time, we're just going to do an entire line of these guys, right? We're going to see how that goes. And, did anyone just... I think we just witnessed the Jesus Archer. My God. All right. Well, now, how about we redo this? Let's make the shield span all of this, and we'll see how we do now. 30 units versus 60 poachers. And we'll see how they do now. We'll see if they can take out a line of shields coming straight their way. Spoiler, I don't think so, but still, who knows? Unfortunately, there's a little break there happening. But the box formation, which we are no longer demonstrating just because it's kind of like, it doesn't work well in this situation, but there will be a situation where it works well, and we will show that shortly. Here we can see the archers just getting their poop wrecked in, but it appears the shieldmen might go down yet again. So far, the casualties appear to be pretty even, and that's bad because there's twice as many poachers as there are shields. So, yeah, quite unfortunate to say the least. It appears that poachers were finally what defeated them. It wasn't the professional armies of the world, it was the pissed off hunters who were hunting to get their stuff, and they were poaching. Interesting. Not even I knew this through my time machine. This is a fun fact, to say the least. And this actually turned out worse than before. And there's a guy in the graveyard just getting pooped on. Wow, this is awful. Where's the last survivor? Oh, there he is. He's about to have, yeah, bad day. I think he just took an arrow to the knee or something. However, since the Romans were such a well-known shipping civilization, we're going to go back to actually building this formation, and we're going to demonstrate it against some other well-known formations of the time, including, well, I don't know, we're going to pit it up against some other stuff and see what it might have to go up against. We're going to pit some chariots against it, see how it fares there, and this time we're going to make it a little bit bigger, because I mean, Roman legions, their boxes were relatively big, right? And we are going to, how wide is it? It's 7 wide, currently it's 5, let's make 2 more rows. I wish there was an easier way to like drag here, unfortunately there isn't. You have to kind of keep your thing straight. And then we're going to pit this up. $4,000 spent on this army. Why don't we go ahead? Why is there $800 spent? That doesn't even make sense. There's nothing here. But we'll go ahead and have some chariots go up against them and see how the box formation fares when the chariots come running. And they're able to kind of hold off. The problem is the chariots survive that initial strike, and then they come back to do more damage. Most of the chariots are still alive somehow. They are slowly dying amongst the wreckage. And we might come out on top here. We being the Romans. There are only a couple shieldsmen left. But this chariot, this Egyptian, is not about it. Well, he is about it. He's about dying, to be more specific. Anyways, now that that's done, why don't we pit these guys against some I'm feeling some cannons. Let's see how they do against an army of Napoleons and see if they've time traveled, how they'd fare against 5 artillery, and see if the shields can withstand this. However, I don't think they can, because shields are better at withstanding penetration. Now, once you start bringing in large amounts of kinetic force, it's not going to be looking good for these guys. And yeah, as you can see, they're just beginning to get, their ranks are being thinned as they advance. And I mean, they might be able to make it, but they're probably just going to slowly get picked off and one by one lose all hope at defeating Napoleon, which makes sense. Napoleon lived about, like, what, 2,000 years after these guys, so yeah, he had a little bit of a head start in regards to stuff. But they might be able to trick these cannons into some friendly fire, and actually they're kind of managing to do that here. And did that cannon just die? There's 1 cannon, 2 cannons left. Like, there's... No, that cannon's still alive. Yeah, there's a chance this guy has nothing. He's about to... Aw. There was hope. That guy's... Yeah. Oh, he's still living. There's hope. Oh, no. That was a freaking headshot. Jesus Christ. What about this guy? Let's see what else is going on here. Oh, this guy is holding up his shield in an interesting fashion. That wasn't really able to help. Oh, what? Where did he come from? What? Oh, dude, this guy does not want to die. He refuses. These cannons are just continuing, doing their best at picking people off. That guy doesn't even have a shield. He's praying for mercy as he falls effortlessly, and his shield flies in. And now, the cannons are on the hunt. And the shields are going to have a very, very bad day very soon. But the Romans, what they became known for was this box formation. And it's called a box formation because they were the shipping moguls of their time. They're like the FedEx before FedEx, right? They were the precursors. Like if you look at FedEx, they're like history book of Xing the Fed. You can see that like the Romans are a huge inspiration, and rip him, that's okay. The Romans are a huge inspiration. And what I want to do now though is demonstrate. We're going to put the Romans against the Greeks here. They're a huge inspiration. And I gotta not derp out too much, but we'll have a bunch of spearmen here. It's kind of behind each other in the phalanx formation, triangular, Illuminati crap, whatever the hell you want to call it. And then we'll have one more, and we'll see how this goes for these guys, see if they can handle Greeks versus Romans. Who will win? They've seemingly lost some of their weapons. Interesting. Some of their weapons are pointing in the wrong direction, and we'll see how this charge goes for them. And it's just a wave of blues charging through, and those shields protecting them. But since they were such shipping people, Julius Caesar one day saw the box, and he was inspired. He's simply like, this is greatness. He was also inspired because he saw some turtles in the wild, and he was examining him. He actually loved turtles. Fun fact, Julius Caesar loved turtles. And he used those two methods and those two observations in the wild to put two and two. Oh my God, that guy was just speared so hard. To put two and two together and be like, we got to create a new formulation. And what was born, we're also going to add, for fairness sake, although it's not necessarily fair, yet another row and see how that goes. And why not a line of peasants here for sacrificial reasons, right? This is a lot of units though, so this might start to lag a little. I hope not, but I'm just saying, just in case. There may be some lag. We'll see how this goes. We got the line of peasants there to make this even more of a mob. And, whew, Romans, stay strong, boys. I believe in you. I believe. But using those two inspirations, he thought to implement this in his military and shatter multiple dimensions above his own, transcend, which you can see happening here. And it was formed as this box turtle formation. It's more referred to as the turtle, actually, over the box. The box is just seemingly too simplistic. And wow, those Greeks were mowed down with a lot of blue survivors, but the box is simply too simplistic. So what ended up happening is that happened, and Julius Caesar was able to make one of the greatest standing armies and formations to grace this earth, at least relative to the time. 'Cause, I mean, you could say it was one of the greatest and then pull up with a couple of Sherman tanks, and well, it's not the greatest for long. So relatively speaking, one of the greatest in terms of like what the opposition had and all that stuff. Now, another thing that made his army so great was the food that he fed them. So, as you guys know, Caesar, not only known for his military tactics and his greatness as a Roman emperor, and I don't really know what to do here. Next, I kind of wanted to set up a line of archers, right? We'll set up a line of archers this time since they're a little bit more professional, and they're a bit more likely to be seen on the battlefield, and statistically speaking, they kind of balance out the money there. And what we're gonna do is have a line of these guys. This is the line that must be broken. And now the Romans, just that little bit money differential, will have some artillery support to kind of even things out a little bit, you know? Because, I mean, Romans had ballistas. It's simply a thing. So, now this, my friends, is how an army would kind of more look like. And we'll see, you can see the barrage of arrows coming in, the ballistae firing at their opponents, the operators absolutely dying. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're gonna, just to kind of demonstrate this better, we're gonna replay that and hopefully not shatter any dimensions. But like I was saying, since he's known for not only his military tactics and his greatness, but also the salad named after him, and ooh, those ballistae almost got to him. The salad was actually named after him because it was one of the reasons he was so great. It's one of the reasons his army was so great, is because after every victory, when the men returned and did whatever they did when they returned, is they would be fed with Caesar salads. Their greatness with the chicken and the dressing and all that stuff. And it was able to really nourish an army, and it was fantastic what he was able to do because, oh dude, look at the arc on those ballistae. It was fantastic what he was able to do because no other man was able to feed his army like Julius was, and oh, sweet mother of flying shields. And Julius ultimately did end up becoming known for that, and it was, where did that shield come from? That just rains from the sky at this point, dude. Yeah, but that is the origins of the Caesar salad and why it is such a huge part of Roman history, and why it ultimately, along with the inspiration of turtles and boxes in the shipping world, created one of the greatest standing armies to grace this earth. And that's what we have Julius to thank for. However, Julius would ultimately be defeated. These are barbarians. Barbarians had some catapults when ultimately they wanted to besiege Rome, correct? Well, here, to make things a little bit more fair money-wise, we will, of course, bolster up the troops. Make this formation a tad bit wider since it will have to withstand a good amount more. We'll leave the ballistae relatively the same, though. I mean, no point in expanding that, I don't think. And we'll just continue making our shields, and we can probably go, what, one more? That's about fair. Yeah, I think that's good. And we can see how this goes in a much larger legion of a box/turtle. Now that that is all done, we will see how this all goes. And these can't, oh, those are cannons. Those are supposed to be catapults. Well, we'll see how this hybrid army goes. Probably quite well, to be honest. This is unfortunate for us, and dimensions are being shattered. Okay, no, we're gonna fix that real quick. Catapults is what should have been behind there, not cannons. There we go. We'll see how this goes. Now that all is said and done, you will get to see how everything worked back in the olden days. And yeah, so ultimately they did fall, and whether that be from the catapults is still debated to this day. However, ultimately, as you will see in this battle, these ballistae do sometimes end up doing some friendly fire, and someone just flew off to space in the corner of my screen. And oh, it's the guy holding onto the catapult. Jesus. As you'll see soon, these ballistae do partake in friendly fire, which is very unfortunate because, well, they were actually double agents. So to ultimately take Rome, the Gauls hired the artillery workers of the Roman armies, and as you can see here, they were not the brightest since they didn't exactly know how to control their limbs, let alone an actual ballista. They would friendly fire their teammates quite a lot, their own standing army, and this was crucial in defeating the army and ultimately taking Rome a couple hundred years after Julius fell, when the northern tribes broke through the boot of Italy and, well, made sure it wasn't a good boot for long. So these guys were paid and ultimately helped defeat their own armies, and then once they were paid and compensated, they were also promised good spots in the new empire that would rise from the Gallic tribes to the north. They were then, well, they got their money, and then they would participate in the army for a little bit. Until then, they started friendly firing on their own Gallic army because, again, it's all these guys know how to do, as you can probably see there. I mean, they still win, but, you know, a lot of friendly fire, and ultimately the Gauls were able to have more numbers that day, and that would ultimately lead to their downfall. And that, my friends, is why you do not take bribes, and you need loyalty, and you need artillery people who know how to aim their goddamn artillery, otherwise the enemy will begin to pay them, and then they'll get on the enemy side and actually start shooting their own enemy. So it's really convoluted, and it's like, you don't ever want them on your team, but, I mean, they can be useful. Just depends, and I just almost spilled water. That would have been awful. But other than that, that is going to really go ahead and do it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed the history lesson, talking about the double agents of Rome, the Gallic tribes to the north, the box turtle-inspired formations, and, of course, the classic Caesar salad. And all of this is now in your memory banks. So thank you guys for listening to my lesson, and also thank you for the insane support on the Totally Accurate Battle Simulator videos. It is awesome of you guys, and I seriously do appreciate it. Like, for real, it's insane how ridiculous the support has been, and just thank you guys. Thank you guys, it does mean a lot. But without further ado, that's gonna do it for me. I hope you guys go out and have yourselves a great day. I hope this video helped you have a great day, and if it didn't, I hope you go out and do something to make your day great, because I want everyone to be able to look back and be like, you know what? Today was a goddamn fantastic day, because that's ultimately my goal. I want everyone to be happy. That's what I try to do, but I make YouTube videos, so it's not exactly the most efficient way. But hey, makes some people happy, so I can't complain. But super long outro aside, thank you guys for listening to Dr. Professor Doctorate Starsnipe's history lesson, and I will see you guys in the next one.